Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today I am ranking all of the DCEU films, including the latest, Aquaman. Since this is the last DCEU film featuring one of the Justice League that we'll be receiving in a while, I thought it was a perfect time to debut my first ever ranking video for the DC film series. So for this ranking, we have 6 total films, starting with Man of Steel up through Aquaman. Before we jump into the ranking, disclaimer. I think my ranking is probably going to be slightly controversial because guess what? This is my personal ranking. This isn't even necessarily how I view them as quality films. It's simply my enjoyment factor and how I received the films myself. So differences of opinion are what make film watching and being a part of this community so much fun. So just remember, this is my ranking, and I look forward to seeing everybody else's ranking in the comments below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my ranking with number 6. Yeah, this is where we get controversial. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice did not work for me, almost across the board. To state some positives, I do think that the score was really good and it introduced us to this amazing Wonder Woman theme that we have running right now. I, like everyone else, also loved that Batman fight sequence that we received in the warehouse. It was awesome. I also did like the introduction of Wonder Woman as well. She was definitely a saving grace and highlight for me across the board here. And the idea is kind of interesting. We have some interesting concepts laid into there revolving around like false prophecy and all of that fun jazz. But unfortunately, it just does not come together like at all for me. This film is a slog to get through. There are so many different ideas and storylines that are just half-baked and shoved together. We don't really get a good Superman film. We don't really get a good Batman film. We don't really get a good origin story for groundwork, whatever it was trying to be for the Justice League. Honestly, that literally was just like oh shoot, let's just throw it in and tag it on with these ridiculous little clips. I thought Jesse Eisenberg was terrible in this film. First of all, he was miscast to begin with, but then he was just terrible. Lois Lane, insufferable. In this film in particular, I found Lois Lane to just be a horrible character. She was poorly written. Poor Amy Adams deserves so much better than what DC and Warner Brothers has saddled her with as this horrible version of Lois Lane. Very rarely do I cheer for our female characters to be sidelined, but I was like literally screaming. Somebody throw her in a room, lock the door, and like throw away the key because she does nothing but stupid things that get in the way. Plus, I know some people will defend that Martha business till their face turns blue. It's ridiculous, people. It is laugh-inducing when you're at the emotional, like, climax of your story, and it completely unravels the entire point of said story. Plus the false death at the end, it really just did not work for me. It was trying to be a more sophisticated, smart man's superhero film, a la The Dark Knight, but just completely failed on every level, in my book. That's right, in at number 5, over Batman v Superman, I have Suicide Squad. Now, narratively, this is another mess. The plot just goes all over the place, it's incoherent, but at least I had some fun watching this one. At least I enjoyed myself as I went through this. It wasn't a complete slog to me. Part of that is because we had characters like Harley Quinn and even Deadshot to an extent that were fun, that we enjoyed, that I liked being around. Plus, I think some of the action worked, some of the jokes landed. Granted, none of the character development landed. That was nowhere to be seen. And our villain situation here was a hot mess. Period. The government is stupid. Period. The character design on our villain minions and the special effects on them as well, terrible. So Suicide Squad was a mess. There's no real getting around that, but at least I had fun with this hot mess. So it gets ranked number 5. easy number 2, I'm sure. Man of Steel in at number 4. There are a lot of things actually to enjoy about Man of Steel. One, I do think Henry Cavill makes a solid Superman. I think he could excel in the role if he were just given something. Unfortunately, I don't really think Man of Steel was that something. But the score from Hans Zimmer was iconic. This is a beautiful score that really does all of the heavy lifting when it comes to the emotional impacts of this film. I think Zod and Michael Shannon playing Zod were really solid, as well as his hench aliens were also really solid. Unfortunately, I just don't think this was really Superman. I think that DC gave us a better Superman movie when they gave us a Wonder Woman movie. That's how a Superman movie should uplift and make you feel, not like it's a Batman film parading around as Superman. I didn't enjoy the tone. I don't really enjoy Superman as a character. And then I certainly don't enjoy him when he's just like trying to be emo, dark, and brooding. It didn't work for me. Plus, there were so many antithetical messages here, from the Kents themselves to the infamous killing at this point, the destruction of that city, all of that product placement in that little town. We've seen Superman done right. So to saddle him in a film that had so much potential, that had so much there to really grasp onto, only to fall short, was pretty disappointing for me. Yes, the much hated Justice League, all the way up at number 3 for me. And much like Suicide Squad, I know there's a lot of mess in here, and I fully acknowledge most of it. But I just enjoyed Justice League. I had a lot of fun watching the movie. I thought the action was fun. I really enjoyed these actors in their roles for this particular film. And it mostly worked. It mostly had my attention. It mostly had me engaged and gave me a lot of things I was hoping to see here. Now, the special effects department, oh, this is definitely the worst visually out of any of the DC films, I'd say. Part of that is probably because we don't have that dark palette of Zack Snyder to hide all of the poor visuals. And then you mix in Joss Whedon's like bright comic booky, and the two just didn't blend well together, like at all. I don't mind Steppenwolf as a villain. He's not great by any means, but I don't really mind just the big, baddie, overpowered villain. What I do mind is overpowered Superman, and whew, the effects on him, terrible. But what I loved was Aquaman. I really enjoyed Jason Momoa getting to really sink his teeth in this role, and I thought he was fantastic. I loved Gal Gadot back as Wonder Woman. I thought she was so good in this movie. I really enjoyed Ezra Miller as the Flash. I thought he did well. Ben Affleck worked as Batman well enough here, and then Henry Cavill, he was there. But then we had Ray Fisher, and I thought that Cyborg storyline worked really well in this film, and Ray Fisher did a dynamite job pulling it off. Now, some of that sex is a mess, some of the, like, boob joke, no thank you. Keep that. But again, it's a big, loud, fun Justice League mess for me, and I really enjoyed watching it. So, number 3 it is. That's right, the latest DC film, Aquaman, all the way up at number 2. I had a blast watching Aquaman. It is funny, it is really fun, the action is fantastic in this film, from the big war sequences we get under the sea to the hand-to-hand combat of Aquaman himself. He just kills it. And Jason Momoa is so charismatic, he's perfect in the role. I love what we got from Mera. And the world building for Atlantis was absolutely stunning. And really, all of the different kingdoms with their looks were really fun to experience and beautifully executed. I do think that the script is also a mess, which unfortunately is a theme. I don't think they've had a good script, actually, for a DCEU film, including my number 1 pick. I don't think it was a very good script. However, this script was a mess. The score was and sometimes those visuals got out of hand. Ugh. The people in particular underwater didn't look great. But the tone fit so well with this film. It was fun, it was effervescent, it fully embraced its title character, and Aquaman was just a blast. And that's why I have it up at number 2. If there was any question, Wonder Woman, of course, comes in at number 1 on my list. I feel like it became a cool thing to hate on Wonder Woman after everybody loved Wonder Woman. But no such hate came from me. I think this is a stellar film and still far and away my favorite film that the DCEU has produced. As fun as I think Aquaman was, it didn't even come close to touching Wonder Woman in my book. As I just said, I do think that the script is the weakest aspect to this film. Some of the lines, some of that dialogue, some of the flow in the movie comes down to the script. I do think it's the best script of any of the DC films, but still nowhere near great. And the visual effects in that third act, definitely are dodgy. DC still needs to figure out how to properly execute their effects. But Wonder Woman had more heart than probably the other 5 films on this list combined. No Man's Land is far and away the best scene that the DCEU has given us. It works so well because we build up to it perfectly. We get that development of Diana. We get her eyes opening to the world. And it all leads up to this hugely impactful, inspiring, beautiful moment with No Man's Land. And of course that score helps a lot. Oh, the score is so good. But Diana as a character into Wonder Woman and even growing as Wonder Woman gets more character development than any of the other heroes in the DCEU. She's awesome, she's badass, but she's compassionate. She's a well-rounded person. The relationship between her and Steve Trevor is one of the best on-screen relationships in any comic book film in history for me. I also thought the action was really good, really exciting in this film. Most of our side characters really worked. Chris Pine was great in this film. And I loved it. I saw it 7 times in the movie theater show. I absolutely adored Wonder Woman. There's not really much else to say. I think it's pretty stellar. Even upon watching it for like the millionth time, I still think her transformation, her growth, and the development throughout the film is amazing. So Wonder Woman easily tops my ranking for the DCEU films. So that is how I rank the DCEU franchise from Warner Brothers. How do you feel about my ranking? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And more importantly, how do you rank these films? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. I love you all so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!